The doctor's words still echo in my head sometimes. 6 months, maybe 8 if you're lucky. That was 2 years ago, and here I am, sitting in my one-bedroom apartment, watching my niece Sarah post photos from inside the house I gave her when I thought I was dying. Let me take you back to when this all started. 3 years ago, I was 57 years old, single, no kids of my own. I'd worked my whole life as a nurse, saved every penny I could, and finally bought my dream house when I turned 50. Nothing fancy, just a 3-bedroom place with a big backyard and a kitchen with enough counter space to actually cook a real meal. The kind of house where you could hear birds in the morning instead of traffic. My brother Tom had 2 kids, Sarah, who was 28 at the time, and Michael, who was 25. Sarah had just gotten married to this guy David, nice enough, worked in tech, always talking about startup this and disruption that. They were living in this tiny apartment, barely bigger than my current living room, trying to save up for a house deposit. You know how it is these days. Houses cost what? 10 times what they did when I bought mine? These kids were looking at another 5, maybe 10 years of saving just to get their foot in the door. Michael was different, still figuring himself out, bouncing between jobs, crashed on friends' couches half the time, but he'd show up at my place every Sunday for dinner without fail. He'd help me fix things around the house, tell me about whatever book he was reading, make me laugh with his terrible impressions of his boss. Sarah would come by maybe once a month, usually when she needed something. Then came that Tuesday in October. I'd been feeling tired for months. Thought it was just work stress. You know how it is when you work in healthcare. You're so busy taking care of everyone else, you forget about yourself. But then I started losing weight without trying, and my back hurt in this weird way that wouldn't go away no matter what I did. The tests came back, and suddenly I'm sitting in an oncologist's office learning new words I wished I didn't have to know. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. Already spread to my liver. The doctor was kind but honest. Treatment could buy me time, but we weren't talking about years. We were talking about months. I didn't tell anyone for 2 weeks. I'd go to work, come home, sit in my beautiful house, and think about what would happen to it when I was gone. The mortgage was paid off. I had some savings, some life insurance. Everything would go to Tom's kids eventually anyway. They were all the family I had left after Mom and Dad passed. When I finally told the family, Sarah cried, big, dramatic tears. She hugged me and said all the right things about fighting this and miracles happening every day. David immediately started Googling treatment centers and clinical trials on his phone right there at the dinner table. Michael just held my hand and asked me what I needed. Over the next few weeks, Sarah started visiting more. She'd bring flowers, organic smoothies, books about positive thinking. She'd sit in my living room and talk about how hard it was to find a good house in their price range, how the market was so competitive, how they'd lost out on 3 places already because someone else offered cash. David would chime in about interest rates and market projections. One day, maybe 6 weeks after my diagnosis, Sarah was going on about this house they'd looked at, needed work but had potential, except someone had outbid them by $50,000, and something in me just decided, what if you didn't have to buy a house? I said. She looked at me, confused. What do you mean? This house? What if it was yours? The way her eyes lit up, like Christmas and her birthday and winning the lottery all at once. Aunt Martha, no, we couldn't possibly. But she could. I could see it in her face. She was already measuring my living room for their furniture. I thought about it for another week. Talked to my lawyer, who tried to talk me out of it. You could just leave it to them in your will, he said. But I kept thinking, what's the point of that? Why should the government get a chunk in taxes? Why shouldn't I get to see someone enjoy it while I'm still here? And Sarah needed it now. She was young, starting her life with David. Michael was still finding his way. He'd probably sell his half anyway if I left it to both of them, and that would cause fights and complications. This was cleaner, simpler. I called a family meeting on a Sunday, made a roast, mashed potatoes, the works. Might be one of the last Sunday dinners I'd cook, I thought. I've made a decision about the house, I announced once everyone had food on their plates. Tom looked worried. You're not selling it, are you? Where would you live? I'm giving it to Sarah and David. The silence was thick. Sarah gasped, covered her mouth with her hands. David's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. Tom looked confused, and Michael just stared at his plate. Aunt Martha, that's too much, Sarah managed to say, but she was already crying those happy tears. It's decided, I said. I'll stay here through my treatment, however long that is, and then you'll already have a home. What followed was a blur of thank yous and hugs from Sarah and David. They talked about how I could stay as long as I wanted. Of course I could, it was my house, and how they'd take care of everything. How grateful they were. Michael excused himself to go to the bathroom. He didn't come back for 15 minutes. Later, when Sarah and David were in the kitchen doing dishes, Michael found me on the back porch. Why her? He asked quietly. She's married, starting a family. She needs stability. And I don't? You're still young, still figuring things out. I'm 25, Aunt Martha. I'm not a kid. I know, sweetheart. But Sarah hasn't been here for you. She shows up now because you're sick. But where was she before? I've been here every week for 3 years. I helped you paint this place. I built those garden beds with you. I know every creaky floorboard, His voice cracked. This kid who'd been so strong when I told him I was dying was falling apart over a house. It's not about who deserves what, I said. It's about who needs what right now. Right, he said. I need to go. He left without saying goodbye to anyone else. The legal stuff took about a month to sort out. I signed the house over to Sarah and David with the understanding that I'd live there through my treatment. We had it all written up properly. I'd pay a small rent, just to make it official, and they'd take over all the maintenance and property taxes. Sarah threw herself into planning renovations. She'd come over with paint samples and fabric swatches, talking about knocking out the wall between the kitchen and dining room, updating the master bathroom, converting my craft room into a nursery eventually. She was careful to always add, after you're done needing it, of course, or whenever you're ready, but we both knew what she meant. Michael stopped coming to Sunday dinners. He'd text me occasionally. Short messages. Hope treatment is going okay. Thinking of you. But he didn't visit. Tom tried to mediate. He's hurt, he told me. He feels like you picked Sarah over him. I did pick Sarah, I said. She needs this house. Michael will be fine. Will he, though? He's been struggling, Martha. Lost another job last month. Did he tell you that? He hadn't. He hadn't told me anything in weeks. The treatment was brutal. Chemo every 2 weeks. Radiation in between. I was sick all the time. Exhausted beyond description. Sarah would drop by with groceries, stay for 20 minutes, then leave because the smell of sick people made her queasy. David set up a smart doorbell so they could check on me without coming over. You know who showed up? Michael's girlfriend, Amy. I'd only met her twice before, but suddenly she was there 3 times a week, bringing soup, sitting with me through the worst of it, cleaning up things I don't want to describe. When I asked her why, she just said, Michael's worried about you. Then why doesn't he come himself? You really hurt him, Martha, but he still loves you. 3 months into treatment, something strange happened. The tumors started shrinking, not disappearing, but definitely getting smaller. The doctor called it an exceptional response. Not remission, not cured, but better, significantly better. Sometimes we see this, she said. The treatment works better than expected. We keep going. See how far we can push it. I didn't tell anyone at first. I was scared to hope, but after another month, the scans were even better. The cancer in my liver was almost gone. The pancreatic tumor had shrunk by 60%. This is remarkable, the doctor said. I won't give you false hope, but We might be looking at years, not months. Years. The word felt foreign in my mouth. I called Tom first. He cried. Then he asked, "What about the house? What about the house?" I'd given it away. Legally, it was Sarah and David's now. I was just a tenant paying $500 a month for the place I used to own. "It's fine," I said. "The arrangement works." But it didn't. Not really. Sarah and David had started making changes, small ones at first. They replaced the doorknobs with smart locks, installed their own security system, repainted the guest room without asking. Then bigger ones. They got permits to renovate the kitchen. Contractors started showing up at 7 in the morning. "We thought you'd want to enjoy the upgrades," Sarah said when I complained about the noise. "Since you're doing so well," they started talking about their timeline. The kitchen would be done by spring, then the bathrooms, then the basement, all while I was living there, dealing with ongoing treatment, trying to rest and recover. I found out from Tom that they'd taken out a home equity loan against the house. My house, the house I'd paid off through 30 years of double shifts and overtime. "It's an investment," Sarah explained when I confronted her. "The renovations will increase the value. We're thinking long-term." "Long-term? I'm still here." "Of course, and we're so grateful you're doing better. But you said yourself this was about our future." That's when it really hit me. In Sarah's mind, I was already gone. My recovery was an inconvenience to her timeline. Michael finally came to see me on a Tuesday evening. I was sitting on the back porch, the one spot that still felt like mine, when he walked around the corner of the house. "Amy says you're doing better," he said. "I am. The doctors are optimistic." "That's amazing, Aunt Martha. Really." We sat in silence for a while. The contractors had left for the day, but their equipment was everywhere. My garden beds, the ones Michael had built, were covered with tarps and sawdust. "They're putting in a pool," I said. "Where your garden beds are." "They're putting in a pool." Michael laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "You hate pools. You always said they were a waste of water and maintenance." "Well, it's not my house anymore." "No," he said. "It's not." "I'm sorry, Michael. I thought I was doing the right thing." Sarah needed dash. Sarah needed to earn it herself. That's what you always taught us, remember? Nothing worth having comes easy. Work for what you want. No shortcuts. He was right. Those were my words, thrown back at me. I was dying. I said weakly. "You were scared. There's a difference. I can't undo it now. Legally, it's done. I know. I'm not asking you to. I needed you to know that it hurt. Not losing the house, losing your faith in me. You didn't even consider me, did you?" "Not really. I wanted to lie to make him feel better, but he deserved the truth." "No, I didn't." He nodded, stood up. "Amy and I got a place. It's small, but it's ours. We're working opposite shifts to make rent, but we're making it work." "I could help?" "No, I don't want your money, Aunt Martha. I never wanted your house either, not like that. I wanted you to see me, to know that I was here, that I showed up, that I cared about more than what I could get from you." He left after that. I sat on the porch until it got dark, listening to the sounds of my neighborhood, the neighborhood I'd lived in for 7 years that soon wouldn't be mine at all. The next few months were a special kind of torture. My health kept improving. The cancer was still there, but stable, managed. The doctors started using words like chronic condition instead of terminal, but my living situation got worse every day. Sarah and David treated me like a problematic tenant. They'd schedule contractors without telling me, show up unannounced with potential designers, talk about me in the third person while I was sitting right there. "We're thinking of converting that back bedroom into an office once it's available," Sarah told her friend on the phone, loud enough for me to hear from my room. My room, the room where I was very much still alive. They started pressuring me to move. Subtle at first, leaving brochures for senior living communities on the kitchen counter, forwarding me listings for cozy apartments. Then less subtle. "David's brother is looking for a place," Sarah mentioned one day. "He's willing to pay $2,000 a month in rent. That would more than cover a nice apartment for you somewhere else." This was supposed to be my home until the end, I reminded her. But you're better now. You don't need all this space. And honestly, Aunt Martha, the stress of living in a construction zone can't be good for your recovery. The stress of living in a construction zone that she created. Tom tried to intervene. He talked to Sarah about respecting the agreement, about gratitude, about family. She turned it around on him. I'm thinking about Aunt Martha's health, she said. She needs somewhere quiet, somewhere designed for someone with medical needs. We love having her here, but is it really what's best for her? The gaslight was so bright I could see it from space. Meanwhile, Michael and Amy were building their life without any help from anyone. They got married at the courthouse with just Tom and his wife as witnesses. They didn't invite me. When Tom told me about it, I cried for an hour. He doesn't hate you, Tom said. He just needs space. Space. The one thing I had too much of now. In a house that wasn't mine anymore. The breaking point came 8 months after I'd signed over the house. Sarah and David sat me down for a family meeting. We're pregnant, Sarah announced, all smiles. That's wonderful, I said, and I meant it, despite everything. Due in November, which means we need to start the nursery soon. That's my room, I said, though I knew where this was going. Right, which is why we wanted to talk to you. We found you a perfect place. It's a senior living community. Not assisted living, just a nice apartment complex for people over 55. It's got a pool, a gym, social activities. It's only 20 minutes away. She pulled out an iPad, showed me photos. It looked like a nice prison. The lease here says the lease can be modified if both parties agree. David interrupted. He'd done his homework. We're happy to cover your security deposit and first month's rent at the new place. Consider it a thank you for everything you've done for us. A thank you for giving them a $300,000 house. And if I don't agree? They exchanged looks. Well, we'd have to formally evict you, which would be unfortunate for everyone. You'd have trouble renting anywhere with an eviction on your record. There it was, the threat, delivered with a smile. I wish I could say I fought back, that I stood my ground, hired a lawyer, made their lives difficult, but I was tired, so tired. The fight with cancer had taken everything out of me, and now I had to fight my own family for the right to die in my own home? Except it wasn't my home. I'd given it away to someone who saw me as an inconvenience to their timeline. I moved out 2 weeks later. Tom and Amy helped me pack. Sarah and David were conveniently out of town that weekend, touring vineyards for their baby moon. The apartment is fine. 1 bedroom, galley kitchen, small balcony overlooking the parking lot. It's on the 3rd floor, which is hard some days when my energy is low. The neighbors are nice enough, mostly older people like me who've been downsized out of their lives. I'm still in treatment, still stable. The doctors say I could have years left, maybe many years if things continue this way. Years I'll spend in this apartment, while Sarah raises her family in the house I loved. She posts photos on social media all the time. The renovated kitchen with its marble countertops and professional range. The nursery in what used to be my room, painted soft yellow with clouds on the ceiling. The pool where Michael's garden beds used to be, complete with a waterfall feature. Living our dream, she captions them. So blessed. Michael and Amy had their first baby 6 months ago, a little girl named Rose. Tom sends me pictures, tells me she has my eyes. I've never met her. Michael isn't ready for that yet, and I respect his boundaries. I sent a savings bond for her college fund. Amy texted me a simple, "Thank you. It's progress." I think about karma a lot these days. Not the mystical kind, but the practical kind. Sarah got what she wanted. The house, the life, the picture-perfect family setup. But Tom tells me things, how David's startup failed and he's working for a corporation he hates, how Sarah is overwhelmed with the baby and the house maintenance she never had to deal with before, how the property taxes went up 40% after all their renovations, how the pool they had to have is already causing problems with drainage. She asked me if you'd consider buying the house back. Tom told me last week. They're struggling with the payments. I laughed until I cried. Then I cried until I couldn't anymore. What did you tell her? The truth that you're living on Social Security and your savings are almost gone from medical bills, that you couldn't buy a garden shed, let alone a house. The truth is, I do have some money left. Not enough for a house, but enough. My life insurance policy is still active, still listing Tom's kids as beneficiaries. I've thought about changing it, leaving everything to just Michael or to baby Rose, but that feels like using money to apologize, and that's what got me into this mess in the first place. Yesterday was Sunday. I made a roast in my tiny oven, ate alone at my small table. The meat was tough, the potatoes lumpy, nothing like the dinners I used to make in my big kitchen with all that counter space. My phone rang while I was doing dishes. Michael, hi. Aunt Martha, hi sweetheart. Amy and I were wondering, would you like to come for dinner next Sunday? Nothing fancy, just dinner. I'd love that. Okay, good. Bring your green bean casserole if you want. If you remember how to make it. I remember. Good. Rose should probably meet her great aunt, don't you think? Yes, I managed to say through the tears. She should. After we hung up, I sat on my small balcony and watched the sunset over the parking lot. It wasn't the view from my old back porch, with the trees and the garden and the bird feeders, but it was mine. This small apartment, this tiny balcony, this view of asphalt and cars, it was mine in a way. That house stopped being the moment I let fear make my decisions for me. The doctor called yesterday with my latest scan results. Still stable? Still managed. She used a new word this time, remission. Not cured, might never be cured, but remission. I might see Rose graduate high school. I might even see her get married. I might outlive the mortgage on the house I gave away. Sarah called last night, first time in 2 months. She needs help with the baby. David's working long hours. She's exhausted. Could I maybe come stay for a few days? Help out like family does? I'll think about it, I told her. The guest room is really comfortable now. We renovated it. You'd love what we've done with the place. I'm sure I would. So you'll come? I said I'll think about it. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I know you're angry about having to move, but Aunt Martha, you have to understand. We needed the space for our family. You were sick. We didn't think. You didn't think I'd survive. That's not... You said 6 months. The doctor said 6 months. Doctors can be wrong. Well, how were we supposed to know that? How indeed? How were any of us supposed to know anything? That I'd survive? That Sarah would become someone I didn't recognize? That Michael, my flaky couch-surfing nephew, would be the one who understood what family really meant? I have to go, I told Sarah. I have plans tomorrow. Oh, okay, but you'll think about coming to help? Goodbye, Sarah. I hung up before she could respond. Then I blocked her number. It felt like cutting off a limb, but also like removing a tumor. Necessary, painful, ultimately healing. This morning I woke up in my small bedroom, made coffee in my tiny kitchen, sat on my little balcony. The sun was shining. Somewhere a few miles away, Sarah was probably feeding her baby in the kitchen I paid for, looking out at the pool where Michael's garden used to be, wondering why I wasn't answering her calls. Let her wonder. Let her sit in that beautiful house and figure out what she lost when she decided I was already dead. Let her explain to her child one day why Great Aunt Martha never visits, why there are no pictures of them together, why some gifts can't be taken back, but relationships can be destroyed forever. I'm going to Michael and Amy's place this Sunday. I'm going to hold my great-niece Rose for the first time. I'm going to eat dinner with the family that chose me even when I didn't choose them. I'm going to make my green bean casserole in their tiny kitchen, and it's going to be perfect. The cancer might come back. Probably will, according to the statistics. But I'm not living by statistics anymore. I'm not making decisions based on what might happen in 6 months or a year or 5 years. I'm making decisions based on right now, today. This moment where I'm alive and breathing and learning what it really means to be wealthy. It's not about the house, it never was. The house was just walls and a roof and memories that I let fear turn into a bad decision. Real wealth is Michael calling me after a year of silence. It's Amy showing up when I was at my worst. It's Tom fighting for family even when family gets complicated. It's baby Rose, who doesn't know anything about houses or cancer or broken promises, just knows she has a great aunt who loves her. Sarah sent another text this morning from David's phone since I blocked hers, a picture of the house all lit up for Christmas, decorations everywhere. "Wish you were here," it said. I deleted it without responding. That house isn't mine anymore. Hasn't been for a long time. Maybe it never really was. Maybe I was just borrowing it, keeping it warm for whoever came next, even if that person turned out to be someone who saw me as an expiration date rather than a human being. Tomorrow I'm going to the doctor for another scan. The results don't scare me anymore. Whatever time I have left, months, years, decades, I'm going to spend it in my small apartment with my tiny balcony and my view of the parking lot. I'm going to spend it having Sunday dinners with Michael and Amy and Rose. I'm going to spend it learning that sometimes losing everything shows you what you really had all along. The house is gone. The money is mostly gone. The family I thought I knew is fractured and different and rearranged. But I'm still here, still breathing, still learning, still able to choose differently today than I did yesterday. That's the thing about giving someone your house when you think you're dying. If you survive, you have to live with the consequences. You have to watch someone else live your life in your space. You have to accept that some gifts can't be taken back. Some words can't be unsaid. Some trust can't be rebuilt. But you also learn that houses are just houses, that walls and roofs and gardens and pools don't make a home. That family isn't about blood or legal documents or who gets what when someone dies. Family is about who shows up, who stays, who sees you as a person, not a problem to be solved or an inheritance to be claimed. I gave my niece my house when I thought I was dying. Then I survived. And in surviving, I learned that what I lost wasn't nearly as important as what I found. A nephew who loved me more than my house. A great niece who will know me as I am, not as I was. A life that's smaller in square footage but bigger in every way that matters. Sarah can have the house, the mortgage, the maintenance, the memories of what she did to get it. I have Sunday dinners to attend, a green bean casserole to make, a baby to hold. I have a future I didn't think I'd see and a family I didn't know I had. That's worth more than any house, even the one I gave away, even the one that was supposed to be mine until the end. The end, it turns out, isn't when you think it is. Sometimes you die when the doctor says you will. Sometimes you survive and have to learn how to live again. Sometimes you give away everything you have and discover what you really need. I needed Michael to forgive me. I needed Amy to show me what unconditional love looks like. I needed Rose to give me a reason to keep fighting. I needed to lose my house to find my home. Strange how that works. Strange how the worst thing that happens to you can also be the best. Strange how thinking you're dying can teach you how to live. I'm 60 years old now. I live in a one-bedroom apartment. I have cancer that might kill me tomorrow or might let me live another 20 years. I have a nephew who's learning to trust me again. A great niece who smiles when she sees my picture. And a niece who lives in my house, but will never have my home. This isn't the story I thought I'd be telling. When I got that diagnosis 3 years ago, I thought the story would end with me dead, and everyone sad but grateful for what I'd given them. Instead, I'm alive. Some people are sad for different reasons, and what I gave away taught me more than I ever wanted to know about the price of fear and the cost of assumptions. But it also taught me about grace, about second chances, about the family you choose versus the family you're given, about how sometimes the best thing that can happen is losing everything you thought mattered, so you can find what actually does. Next Sunday, I'll drive to Michael and Amy's apartment. I'll climb the stairs to their second-floor unit with my casserole dish and my nervous heart. I'll sit at their small table in their cramped kitchen and eat whatever Amy cooks, which will probably be simple and might be a little burned, and will taste better than anything I've eaten in 3 years. I'll hold Rose and tell her stories about her dad when he was little, about how he used to build things with his hands and his heart, about how he always showed up even when showing up was hard. I'll tell her that houses are nice, but homes are better. That money is useful, but love is essential. That sometimes the best gift you can give someone is the chance to earn their own way. I won't tell her about the house I gave away. That's not my story to tell anymore. That's Sarah's story. Sarah's burden. Sarah's lesson to learn or not learn. My story is different now. My story is about survival and grace and the kind of wealth that doesn't show up on any deed or bank statement. My story is about being 60 years old with cancer and a one-bedroom apartment and a family I'm still learning to understand. It's about Sunday dinners and green bean casseroles and babies who don't care where you live as long as you love them. It's about losing a house and finding a home. It's about dying and then not dying and having to figure out what comes next. What comes next is life. Messy, complicated, beautiful life. In a small apartment with a view of the parking lot and a future I didn't expect to have. With people who love me not for what I can give them, but for who I am. With cancer that might kill me or might not, but either way isn't the most important thing about me anymore. I thought I was giving Sarah a house. I was really giving her a test. She failed it, but that failure taught me more than her success ever could have. It taught me that Michael was the rich one all along. Wealthy in all the ways that matter. It taught me that Amy was family before I ever signed any papers. It taught me that Rose is the future, and she doesn't need my house to have a home. The sun is setting now, painting the parking lot gold and pink and orange. It's not the view from my old back porch, but it's beautiful in its own way. Everything is, when you're not supposed to be here to see it. Tomorrow I'll wake up in my small bed in my tiny apartment. I'll make coffee in my cramped kitchen. I'll sit on my little balcony and watch the world wake up. I'll be grateful for another day, another chance, another opportunity to get it right. Because that's what survival gives you. The opportunity to get it right, to make amends, to build bridges, to learn that what you thought was the end was really just the beginning of understanding what matters. My name is Martha. I'm 60 years old. I have cancer. I live in a one-bedroom apartment. I gave my house to my niece when I thought I was dying, and then I survived. It was the worst decision I ever made and the best thing that ever happened to me. Both things can be true. Both things are true. This is my story. It's not the story I planned to tell, but it's the one I lived, the one I'm still living. The one that taught me that sometimes you have to lose everything to find out what you really have. I had more than I knew. I have more than I thought. Not in property or money or the things that show up on paper, but in the love of a nephew who forgave what shouldn't be forgiven, in the kindness of a woman who became family by choice, in the existence of a baby who will grow up knowing that her great aunt is more than her mistakes. That's enough. More than enough. It's everything. The parking lot is dark now, lit only by streetlights and the occasional passing car. Somewhere, Sarah is in my old house, living her life, dealing with her choices. Somewhere, Michael is putting Rose to bed, telling her stories, building the family he chose to create. Somewhere, Amy is planning Sunday dinner, making space at her small table for one more person. And here I am, in my small space with my big lessons and my unexpected future. Still here, still learning, still grateful for the chance to see how the story really ends, 'cause it doesn't end with the house or the cancer or the mistakes. It ends with love, the love we give, the love we receive, the love we learn to accept, even when we don't deserve it, especially when we don't deserve it. That's the real gift, not the house I gave away, but the home I found, not the death I expected, but the life I'm living, not the family I thought I had, but the family I discovered. I gave my niece my house when I thought I was dying, but what I really gave was a chance for everyone, including me, to show who they really are. Sarah showed me who she was. Michael showed me who he was. Amy showed me who she was. And I showed myself who I was. Flawed, frightened, capable of terrible judgment, but also capable of learning, growing, admitting wrong, and trying again. That's what survival is, not just the physical act of continuing to breathe, but the emotional and spiritual act of continuing to grow, of continuing to love, of continuing to believe that tomorrow can be better than yesterday, even when yesterday included giving away everything you worked for to someone who saw you as already gone. I'm not gone. I'm here, in my one-bedroom apartment with my parking lot view, and my small balcony, and my huge, unexpected, complicated, beautiful life, the life I didn't think I'd have, the life I'm grateful for every single day, even the hard days, especially the hard days, because the hard days teach you what the easy days never could. They teach you who your real family is. They teach you what really matters. They teach you that houses are just buildings, but homes are built from love and trust and showing up when it matters. Michael showed up. Amy showed up. Rose showed up just by being born, by existing, by giving me a reason to keep fighting even when the fight seemed pointless. Sarah got the house, but I got the home, and that makes all the difference. This Sunday, I'll make my green bean casserole. I'll drive to Michael's apartment. I'll hold my great niece. I'll eat dinner with my real family. I'll be exactly where I'm supposed to be, which is not where I thought I'd be, but exactly where I need to be. That's my story. The story of a woman who gave away her house and found her home, who thought she was dying and learned how to live, who lost everything that seemed important and gained everything that actually is. Subscribe to my channel and watch my next video here.